Hello, my name is A.Cano, and the history topic I am presenting on is the National Defense Education Act of 1958. The Columbia Electronic Encyclopedia defines this as the federal legislation that was passed to aid the U.S. and stimulate its advancement of education in fields like science, math, language, technology, and geography. The act was officially signed on September 2, 1958, by Dwight D. Eisenhower. At the time this act was passed, it was believed that U.S. scientists were falling behind in the space race against the Soviets, who recently released Sputnik. Americans felt threatened by the advancement of the USSR schools, so the act was implemented to put us back in the competition. In the 1950s, there was also a shortage in mathematicians due to fields other than education absorbing these professionals. Therefore, there was not enough available to teach it and prepare our next generation. This created a problem for higher education because enrollment was growing, but the demand for teachers was not being met. So why the NDEA? Well, the purpose, or at least the main purpose, was to provide funding for education, primarily in higher education, but also in elementary and secondary education. As previously mentioned, the studies that were focused on with these funds was science, language, math, and technology, and the funding lasted for 4 years. The NDEA also provided financial assistance through a student loan program to meet the increase of students enrolling in colleges from the 1950s through the 1960s. It was believed that by increasing the funds and improving these programs would better prepare defense personnel for the United States. Of course, with all change, especially involving our legislation, challenges were presented. First, students were asked to sign an affidavit disclaiming belief in overthrowing our government. This potentially interfered with academic freedom. Some institutions at the time refused the funding, and because of this controversy, the disclaimer was eventually repealed in 1962. Another challenge that people question was whether or not the federal government should have a say in the education curriculum, and if so, how much. We must remember that while we may need assistance from the federal government through funding, we also have to consider that they should have control and may need control over what we're doing with that support. The NDEA is still making an impact on education today. John Moyer conducted the Legacy Project, where he interviewed James Edward Good, a developmental teacher education specialist. Mr. Good stated that the NDEA institutes impacted today's profession in terms of curriculum development and teacher training. The institutes focused on innovative ways to develop and implement contemporary content for modern industry and technology. Another impact that the NDEA is still having on education are through STEM programs, or science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. STEM programs are a growing trend in curriculum throughout education, from elementary school all the way up through college. It's a growing field in our industry as well, which benefits from higher education institutions strengthening such programs and initiatives. I hope that you enjoyed the presentation over the NDEA Act and that you learned something about history and how it is still impacting higher education today. Thank you.